going to tell you. Okay, we'll get to it on the podcast.
Yes. Well,
okay, so for real, we're starting. We're starting. This is happening. Welcome back to I Have Shit to Say. Such a great informal start. It's just me, but I got Brian in the background producing me. So
yeah, I do.
We got shit to say. We got a lot of shit to say. Welcome back. Who knows if you're in here before or after guests, it's going to fit in great. But I'm going to talk about drama and codependency if you're going to join us. But we have to do a check-in question.
We always have to do it.
So in the same vein, recently, again, this will age just fine. Kanye has released a betrayal list. Again, I don't care about Kanye, but the idea of a betrayal list is pretty wild and fantastic.
Is his a personal betrayal list or is it?
It's a really fucked up. It's like a wildly fucked up betrayal list. So
are we going to link that in?
Not going to link that in bio. You can Google that shit yourself. I
may do that while you're talking.
No, I love that. But my question is, what is on your betrayal list?
Ooh. Am I going first or are you?
Well, so here, yes, you're going to go first because I'm going to look up a note that I have on my phone that's going to lead into my betrayal list.
Okay.
But
when you first mentioned it, the first thing that came to me, like, have you ever like got in your head, like, oh my gosh, like you have a food, like I want pizza. And like, you're just like, I'm getting pizza.
Yeah, like freaking Chinese on Mondays.
Yes.
Those bitches are not wrong, but yes. They're not bitches. But like, why is it the thing that I always want is, that's on the top 5 of my list.
You get so locked in. And then after that, nothing else sounds good. You're just like, I'm just not going to eat now because I'm so betrayed.
Chick-fil-A on Sundays, Chinese on Mondays, like all of this kind of garbage. Like what? Yeah, no. We have a local coffee shop that used to only be closed on Wednesdays, and I only want it on Wednesdays. No, high on the betrayal.
Like we always want what we can't have.
Big baby and such is life, right? Anything else go on your betrayal list?
I'm
gonna circle back to.
I don't know if anything's specific, but like I don't know, like some music or some bands, like you'll be like super into like a band's like out with this one album, and they come out with something else, and you're like, God, this is just not good. Like what? And not that they owe you anything, but like you do feel a little betrayed by the music just not living up to whatever.
The hype,
yeah. or just because like you enjoyed.
Don't age well, right?
That too.
When you're just like, oh, this like food and music.
Yeah.
Right? And you're like, this used to be the best. And then you go back and you have it decades later and you're like, I like this. What's wrong with me?
This is not the best. You know what? For me, that's movies. Like revisiting. Actually, my wife and I have been revisiting old movies we love, like from the 80s.
But you probably don't love them.
Oh man. There have been some that are like, how do we like this?
Top betrayed movie.
Ooh.
Like that you loved so much.
Trying to think now what's one that we watched recently that is
that you're like, no, that was
it's like
good.
It's just not good.
I know I'm putting you on.
Yeah, you are. I really can't.
Okay, I'm gonna let you have pass.
Okay.
We're gonna add this to we're gonna in a later episode need to like lay out full betrayal lists.
Full betrayal list. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I feel like the top of my betrayal list, I'm like looking at our nice wall of plants, is like plants that like everybody's like, you won't kill it. You won't kill it. No, fuck that. I will kill it. Right. Like, and then I need my mother to come and fix it for me. Like, that's a betrayal. Like, no, that succulent is not that easy to take care of. Like, no, that snake plant is dying at your house. Right. That betrays me hardcore. I feel like, what was the other one that I said betrays me? There's a lot of betrayals and a lot of betrayals. So,
no, plants are a good one though.
Daylight savings time. That's a betrayal. Every time it comes up, I'm like, am I getting more sleep or am I getting less sleep? So this recent one, I got more sleep in, so it didn't feel like a betrayal. But then now I'm like, well, now I'm going to be set up later.
Yes.
Because I can't remember, is it fall forward, fall back, spring forward, spring back? Like,
well,
the gimmick doesn't track.
Well, yes.
So the gimmick is also...
It's a fucking gimmick. It's bullshit.
The gimmick is betraying me.
Because
Correct.
why do we fall backwards, spring forward?
I mean, because of the sun.
Well, I thought it was for farming. Like,
oh, fair. Well, we can't get into all of that.
No.
That's going to turn us very political.
I also think that's the thing too. Is like Indiana doesn't fall back or spring forward.
Yeah, and I'm from Las Vegas, and Arizona is sometimes on the same time and sometimes not.
Is it really?
Yeah, because like Nevada does do daylight savings, and then when you cross over to Arizona, they don't, and so then it's like sometimes you're the same time and sometimes you're not. It's like growing up, I knew some people that lived in Arizona, and I was like, is it different? Is it not? I don't really know. Okay, but funny enough, so I've been like watching Dancing with the Stars, but like because it's the Mormons, right? We all know that I love the Mormons.
Well, that's a whole other episode.
I mean, but don't put that separately. Don't just put I love Mormons separately because that's out of context.
We're going to remix that.
Correct. I'm here for that. Well, I feel like there needs to be a Mormon remix of everything I just discussed because that's fucking wild. Anyway, we don't need to get into poop hole loopholes, but I'm watching this season because of that, but I'm really just watching it on TikTok. But my favorite thing is reading the comments where people are like, it's not fair because like the show is live at 5 p.m. in like California. And so like we can't vote because it's different in time. And I'm like, no, like what? So like watching people argument, like time zones are arguing in the comments. I said argument, like comment and argue in the same. Okay, glad we had that talk. That they're arguing over like when they're allowed to vote live for this show because they don't understand time zones. So they're being betrayed by time zones, and I'm kind of here to witness the conversation.
Yeah.
So that's also really funny to me.
Well, I was betrayed by time zones as well as a child. My mom was helping me with homework with time zones, and she is just as bad at time zones.
Okay.
And I got an F on the paper. So I was betrayed by time zones and by my mom's lack of knowledge of time zones.
Time zones are definitely... every time I fly or go home, I'm like, I'm time traveling. I think it's pretty badass. I don't feel betrayed by it, but I do feel betrayed by daylight savings time, the gimmick of the whole thing. Just the like try and help you remember what is what. And like you gave me something just so you could take it away later actually really kind of pisses me off. Anyway.
So it's a personal slight.
It is a personal slight. Yeah. Seasonal allergies are betrayal. That's the thing we both have discussed.
Dealing with that right now for sure. Because we're in fall.
Correct. But I do need you to know that in similar fashion, my own therapist in 2022 had me make a rage letter list. Okay. Which feels like a version of a betrayal list. Okay. And like, you're not going to pan in on this because there's some specific names, but I'm like, oh, I have a really long list of people that I dislike. And not individual people, like, yes, and groups of people. Okay. Like just groups of people from, we can get into that in other episodes of things like, just like past business partners and, the FBI. And there's like wild things that are just like, so that's like, anyway. Yeah. If you've never made a betrayal list, I highly, highly recommend it. And then just like toss it in the fire. Just burn it.
I like that.
Yeah. Release it. Release it in the universe. Didn't we talk a few episodes back about like digging a hole and like screaming rage back into Mother Earth? Yeah, but energies and stuff. Yeah, exactly. Sure. So it's like the same thing. Just burn that shit up. Yeah, I love it. So on that note, I appreciate our betrayal list. This is where we're gonna keep going because we need other people to share this. For sure. Well, we're gonna talk about drama and codependency today. I feel weird looking at this camera. I feel like I'm just gonna come talk to you about it, but
you can do whatever you want.
I'll finger gun again. Okay, so there was this dude. I'm gonna draw today for you. There's this dude named Karpman, and he came up with this thing called it's really, I think he originally called it the victim triangle because he was working with like victim and persecutor stuff, but really it started to end up being related, I'm also gonna use different colors, related to just drama in general. Okay. Actually, so if you guys have never used the smelling markers, those are good ones. So I'm going to draw this out. So I'll link my picture and other people's versions of it. You can Google Karpman Drama Triangle. So it's either called the victim triangle or the drama triangle. But basically, you've kind of heard about like quality of services and like you could only have 2-3 things, right? Like you can have it fast and cheap, but you can't have a good quality. Anyway.
Oh yeah, there's a
right. Like there's 3 sides to the
there's
triangle,
a
right?
the creativity.
Yeah. Right?
Overlaying circles.
All the things love a good triangle, right? It's a jabby triangle. So like if you're looking at the victim or the drama triangle, so I think sometimes people don't like the word codependent because it sounds so unhealthy or toxic. You're like, oh, that's for like narcissists or people who are being abused. But like we all kind of do this codependent stuff. And so as I like continued in my work as a therapist and also my own journey and my own work, like for myself and healing, I'm like, oh, we all kind of do some of these interesting things. And if you listen to my podcast with Hernan, he's also talking more gendered specific, but he's talking about this. So you have a triangle. I don't know if you guys can see it from here. You want to, anyway, you don't have to zoom in, but so you have the victim, the hero, and the persecutor. And I'm going to use green because I like green. So if we are experiencing like drama, right? Let's say you're a teenager, or an adult, because most of these things are the same. It's adults and teenagers. That just made me adults think the teenage ones are stupid, but it's really all the same stuff, right? Like if you have drama, if there's gossip, if there's just conflict in general, if it is extrinsically motivated, so I'll put that, like this is like external. So, and this is what Hernan was kind of talking about earlier too. So anything that happens in this triangle is externally motivated, meaning I'm making a decision of my behavior based on what is happening externally versus intrinsic motivation of like, I know who I am, I know what I value, I know what I want and need, and I'm able to do that. That's internal motivation. So external motivation is often what is driving this. So
could you give me a scenario? Like
yes, I'm totally going to get to that. Yeah. So here's the other piece that I do always like to caveat when I explain this to clients is nobody is like, yeah, I'm going to wake up on a Tuesday and just be a victim of something, right? Like nobody is like, yeah, I love being a victim, right? Like I've had clients that are like, don't call me the V word. Like that is like, what the, like, no. And like, they have to come to terms with some of that stuff, right? So like nobody wakes up and is like, I love being a victim. There are a lot of misnomers where people are like, oh, everybody loves to be a victim, or nobody loves to be a victim, right? Like some people are stuck, some people struggle with it, right? But like nobody wakes up and is like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to be when I grow up. Also, most people don't wake up and say, oh, I'm going to persecute. Like I'm going to fuck people up today. Like I'm going to go at them. Like, I'm going to hurt people, right? Like, most people don't wake up and think that. We're not talking about serial killers, not like Kurt was earlier. And then you have a hero, right? Like, of course, we all want to be the hero. So do you know how we end up in this triangle? By being the hero, right? So we usually enter the drama triangle being the hero. This is also where, like, from a nuance. So Terry Cole is a therapist and we can link her in some of her work in the show notes, but she talks about a high functioning codependent. And that's somebody that they're not severely mentally ill, but they like control over things. They like to problem solve for everyone else, right? They like to be like, oh, that person's struggling. Let me pick that up for them. They didn't ask me. Oh, I see this thing is happening here. Oh, let me move myself to make space for them, right? So we all want to be the hero, right? Whether it's high functioning or whether it's like, I will sacrifice myself in order to like help you out. So let's say you have a friend that has something happening to them, right?
Sure.
It's something not good. They're struggling. They're your friends. So you're like, I'm going to give them advice. I'm going to tell them how to fix this, right? I'm going to be the hero to their victim. And then what happens when a victim is like, I'm not going to take your advice? Like, what happens to the hero? So if you tell somebody over and over and over again, like, you're in a bad relationship, you need to leave this relationship, or you're like, you're in this bad job, like, you need to leave this job, and you're just like, I just can't, for whatever reasons, like, I just can't leave, or I just can't do these things, right? Like, I can't take this advice. I can't take this advice. Eventually, what happens to the hero?
You become the persecutor.
Yeah, because they're fucking pissed, right? They're like, I solved the problem. I know the answer. You have no idea what you're talking about. What is wrong with you, right? So, but before the hero becomes the persecutor, the hero first feels like a victim. How dare they not take my advice?
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Right. And the victim at that point is like, why do they keep giving me the same advice? Why do they not understand? Right. So now
they become the persecutor.
Right.
Okay.
And everybody just like moves around this triangle. Right. Like, people don't typically stay stuck in one. Right. And all of it is, well, if you do this to me, then I'm going to do this to you, or I'm going to do that to you, or this is right. Like, so it's all,
okay.
I'm going to use a different color, but it's all really, all you're doing is being stuck in this jabby triangle where you're like, oh, I'll go down and you'll go up, and I'll go down and you'll go up, and we'll go over it. And nobody's really getting out of the cycle. Right. It's not a circle, it's a triangle, but it's still a cycle.
So, like you said, that's a cycle. How do you get out of that? How do you break it?
Correct. Yeah. So that's like the wildest part about it is how do you become intrinsically motivated?
So you have to turn it intrinsic. You have to.
Yeah. So you have to turn internal.
Okay.
And honestly, the quickest and easiest way is I know, right? Like, I usually use I feel, I need, and like, I am going to, right? Like, I feel overwhelmed by this, or I feel this thing and I need this, not I need you, right? Like, we're not going to weaponize boundaries, right? Like, I need this, right? I need to take a break. Like, I feel overwhelmed. I need to take a break. So I'm going to go do this thing. Like, it's really about setting boundaries that are for you, that are actual boundaries and not weaponized stuff, which is like, right, we filmed an episode on that too, which would be a great link kind of jumping off point from here too. But like, this is a wild thing because people are always like, well, how do I never do that again? Well, you don't, right? Like, that's not how this works.
No.
Right? Because once you learn this pattern, which we learn from pretty young ages, depending on like our relationships with people, is like, it's really easy to get drawn back into this, right? So if you find yourself always being like, how do I end up in these toxic jobs? Well, right, we're all a part of what we're a part of. So like, how do you work on like, am I entering a hero? Am I feeling like the victim? Am I a persecutor? Because all of these roles, right, all of these parts need something.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Right? Like, the hero needs to be valuable, needs to save, needs to solve problems, right? Needs to be needed. The victim, like, needs to be heard, understood, validated, like, and the persecutor needs control. Right? And so it's like, how do you give yourself, how do you meet your own needs internally? Like, how do you recognize when you have the needs? How do you give them to yourself? And also, like, how do you provide yourself with validation, which is like, wild as it is like, goes back to some episodes that we filmed with Brittany on self-compassion, right? Like, we all know that I was like, self-compassion, but there are pieces around, like, how do you speak to yourself? How do you show up for yourself? How do you set boundaries that aren't weaponized against other people? Like, and it's like, wow, when you see it out like this, so oftentimes, guys, I will draw this.
It really is.
I will draw this. Like, and it's so funny because now they know. They're like, no, you gotta make it. So, like, they'll start telling me a story of, like, well, I was at work today, and I'll start drawing a triangle, and I'll be like, oh, we're gonna put Susie here. Susie, you know, because there is a piece of empathy, excuse me, as I cough into the microphone. Like, there is a piece of, like, you're only entering this because somebody else is showing up this way, too, because somebody's already there, right? Like, and that doesn't mean like it's their fault and this is not to demonize them. Like, we all are part of what we're part of, right? So if you see that somebody's in the triangle, you can also model of like, I see that you're struggling. Let me know if you need something. And then I just, period. Done, right? Like, it's wild that we offer help and support when it's not asked for. Like, we try to read people's minds.
That's wild, because they're like thinking, oh yeah, and then you give that support because you're like, I want to help this person.
Yeah, really, it's like, I would feel good about myself because I can't help this person.
Right.
But then it's really not about helping the person. If the person really, well, and so then here's the thing, like our world right now basically talks about how nobody ever asks for help. Nobody asks for help. You need to learn, like, what's probably one of the number one goals for school social workers? Advocating for yourself. Learn how to advocate for yourself. And I'm like, well, that requires creating environments where they actually need to ask for help.
Right.
Because if everybody does everything, so if you're in a family where everything's done for you,
oh, true.
Then why would you ever learn how to ask for anything?
So it's learned. You have to be taught.
100%, right? Like asking for what you need is hard, but it's wild because we only think we're valuable if we're helping people, right? Like helping is a value, right? But it's just what I was thinking where it's like, for why? For them or for us? Because honestly, sometimes it's really funny. People will meet with people and not even clients, like some of my employees, and they'll just be like, this is happening, this is happening. And I'm like, tell me more about that. And like, they're waiting for an answer and I'm waiting for them to ask for an answer, right? Like,
right.
I'm like, if you need help with something, you need to explicitly say to me, like, can you help me with this billing thing? Can you help me with this? Can you, just before we got on the call, like when my therapist called and was like, I have this situation. Here's how I feel about it. I feel uncomfortable about this and I need your input. And I didn't say anything until she said, I need your input. And I was like, great, I can totally get my input here, right?
Yes, yeah.
Because ultimately, I am stunting their ability to be capable, right? So if we operate in a world where we believe that every person is fully, wholly creative and capable, then why does somebody else need my help? And we do it all the time. I just did it at lunch today, right? Like they were stacking up the waitress was picking up the plates and somebody we were with was like holding 2 plates and there's silverware in both. And he was like, do I stack them? Do I not stack them? And then I just like reached over and moved the silverware. Like he didn't ask to help. He was working it out. Right. And there I was in the triangle trying to offer a solution. And it's not always a bad thing, but right. Like I've now taken an opportunity upon myself to then interject into something.
I was just going to say, like, it doesn't sound like it's a bad or a good thing. It
can become a bad thing.
Yeah.
So codependency, this is what codependency really looks like. Okay. Because ultimately, if you only live in the triangle 24/7, right? Like, ultimately, this accelerates. Right?
And that's all external, though. That's all.
Yes, right. So, like, all the input is like, so, like, eventually...
You want to drink some water?
Yes, please. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I'm, like, dying. And I'm
out. Water there? Okay.
And I'm out.
Is there water out in the...
No, there's water in the cup over there. Sorry.
This is...
I'm like, it's fucking daylight. Or no, not daylight savings time. Seasonal allergies. Betrayal. Thank you.
Seasonal allergies are...
Lasagna.
Well, now it's warm again. It was cold. Now it's warm. Now it's cold.
It's weird. So what happens to somebody who grows up only being motivated externally? If I don't do something unless I get a good job, if I don't do something unless there's a reward or a paycheck or a field trip or a prize box or a...
Well, it's expected that.
I'm kind of a person who's like at the mercy of my surroundings, right? Like I don't have a core self. No. I don't know who I am. I mask based on my environment.
Yeah.
I read my environment and I don't know anything about who I am.
Yeah.
Right? It's kind of like I'm talking about movie betrayals. I still think that this movie would be great. But I would call it the Runaway Bride syndrome. Like, have you ever seen that movie with Julia Roberts, right? Like, the key part of that movie is not that she was a runaway bride. It's that every relationship she got into, she lost herself, right? And the moment, and like the core memory for me for that movie that I feel like withstands the test of time is when Richard Gere calls her out based on how she orders her eggs of who the relationship she's with. she orders her eggs the same, right? Like if this guy orders it this way, she orders it that, right? Like, and it's kind of like, well, do you even know how you like your eggs? Well, no, because you just want to be like that.
Right.
It's kind of wild, right? So that's like a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
Of just like, if you don't know who you are, then you will really go with the wind. And that stuff is really kind of cultivated at a young age. And if it's not, then it needs to be worked on as you get older of like, what do I like? What do I not like? What doesn't matter to me? What does matter to me? What are my values? Like, what do I stand for? You know, it doesn't mean help. I'm not saying helping is bad.
But people pleasing is.
I mean, is it? Our world doesn't really think it does either, right?
Well,
so that's the hard thing. But like, right, people pleasing to what extent? If it's people pleasing to the extent that you lose yourself,
yes,
that's where you end up with the mental health issues.
Well, yeah, you end up doing stuff you don't want to do. You end up
compromising who you are,
exactly.
Right? Like, but also if you don't know who you are,
right? Huh, very interesting. You opened up a lot of.
It's kind of wild.
It is because I remember as a teenager, like that was who I was. I really didn't know who I was, and I was.
You're
just
not supposed to at that point.
Well, sure.
You're supposed to know that you don't know who you are, right?
But
That's a developmental stage.
Sure.
Are you emo? Are you punk? Are you a jack?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You kind of try to fit into one thing or the other, and.
But imagine if you were testing out the identities to see what fits, and instead you were just learning to be a chameleon for all the identities.
And just
because there's difference, right?
Kept with that.
It's like that's this, right? Like then I'm only learning I have value when I'm responding
right
to my environment.
Right. That's true.
Typically, so like there's also kind of an interesting question too that I'll ask clients is like, do you believe that you have control over the things that happen to you in the world? Or do you believe that shit just happens to you and you have no control?
Yeah.
Right? Because what you're trying to understand is the worldview of like, is there a level of like control or not control? Right. So I remember asking my ex-husband this question. He was like, I have zero control over what happens. And that like shook me to my core. I was like in grad school and I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Like you don't, you know, and some of that was like great, his own experiences and his life stuff. And it was like, that was like so earth shattering to me. Like, I don't think I had so consciously realized that I knew people that believed that they had no control over their experience in the world and that shit just happened to them.
Yeah.
Right. And that's such a victim mentality.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And I don't say that in a sheeny way, but there is a level of like stuckness that the world had like taught him over and over and over again. Right.
Okay. Yeah.
And so like, you know, not that he would ever watch this, but I don't harbor resentment over that, but it was like a moment I remember being like, oh, like you don't take ownership over any change in your life. Like you think things are happening. It didn't mean that he was a bump in a lie. It didn't mean he didn't work hard. It didn't mean he didn't do things. But there was like a piece where it was like, he really did believe the big things were just fucking happening to him. And there was nothing he could do to stop it.
Maybe this is a hot take, but do you feel that there's a religious element to that?
Religious potentially, but I would say in that experience for this person, like for him, is like he's so much trauma and religion was like the anchoring, saving hero.
Okay. Yeah.
And so like, right. So that became, so like our relationship in this doesn't have to all just be people.
Right. It could be a concept.
Correct. Right. Like, I mean, I even think about when we had Jay on the podcast, he started me about kind of like culty, like religious stuff.
Yep.
And it's like when people show up with the capital P pastor.
Well, they prey on that.
Correct. And how knowingly and how unknowingly.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, I think some very knowingly. I think some unknowingly. But the thing that's interesting about this, I would say too, is, and I'll never forget the therapist that I had, who was like, well, you know, codependency is in two different umbrellas. And I was like, tell me more, right? is like we have like typically we think of codependency as like the needy people, right? They're really just like they can't do anything without you. They're very needy. She goes, well, there's also another one under the umbrella. And she's like, and they're the anti-dependent. And I was like, ooh, right? And she lists off all these things. She's like, these are the people that never need any help, that are parentified, that figure it all out on their own, that never even ask for help, will receive help, like don't know how to, like they don't trust other people, right? It's literally the opposite side of the same coin.
Mm-hmm.
The hard part about that, and I would say even in my 13 plus years of doing the work, is those people are often really drawn to each other.
Oh.
Because if I'm really needy, I'm very much drawn to somebody who's got it all together and who doesn't, right?
Yeah.
They don't have any needs, so I can have all the needs. Like my needs could take up all the space.
Wow, my blown.
Right? And that's like a
I'm
really,
codependent on your codependency.
well, anti-dependence and codependence are technically, right? Like when I tell people like, if you're anti-dependent, they're like, yeah, I got my shit together. Anti-dependency is not outside of here.
No.
Because an anti-dependent person ends up being a hero.
Right.
That ends up right? Like, because all of a sudden, like, the person who's got it all together is like, yeah, I'll take care of this, and I'll take care of this, and I'll take care of that, until all of a sudden they're burnt out, and they're like, I'm fucking exhausted, and you don't get back to me, and I'm resentful for what I've given, and I did this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and all of a sudden they're the victim, and then they're pissed.
Yep.
Right? And then what do we do with being pissed? Sometimes we weaponize it. We get passive aggressive. Like, so the one of the like telltale signs of codependent behavior, it's not necessarily that you are codependent, but that, and again, I like the idea of calling it a drama triangle.
Yeah.
If you are leaning towards saying or doing something codependent, or not codependent, passive aggressive, you're already there. So if somebody does something to you, and you're like,
boom.
Yeah, you're in the triangle.
Yeah.
You're in the triangle because you're trying to be snarky, you're trying to be jabby, like you're trying to get a rise out of them, right? So like it, when teenagers are like, you get yelled at or you get in trouble and you're like, maybe you're grabbing, you're stomping up the stairs, and you say all this really tough shit under your breath, right? That you're in the codependency triangle, right? Like you feel like you have nothing, you feel like a victim, instead it's just kind of like, okay, all right, listen. Also, I just heard for you, there's lots of passive aggressive shit I want to say. That's why I have a podcast, so I can have to say it out loud and it's not passive aggressive, right? But it's hard not to. We get looped into it, and like our world thinks that that's an okay way to handle rage or to handle frustration. When it's really not. It's not direct. It's not clear. It's not going to go anywhere. It's just going to, passive aggressive behavior pisses me off. I don't know about you, but when people do stuff that's passive aggressive, I'm like, what?
Yeah, I think, and especially in getting older, it's instant. Like it's so apparent. It's just like it's like a sore thumb. It's like, oh my gosh, you're being passive aggressive. Like even like whether it's an email or text, like you can kind of like pick up on.
100%. And the other part is if I react to passive aggressive behavior when being passive aggressive,
you're in the triangle,
right? Like, because that's how they lasso you to get you back in. And if you're recovering from the triangle, my favorite thing in the whole world is planned ignoring. So if people do stuff that's passive aggressive to me, I'm either going to directly address it or I'm going to ignore it. Right? I'm either going to say, like, I'm confused by what you're saying. Was there something that you needed to clarify for me?
Right.
Like, are you going to explain the thing that you're saying? Or do we need to move on? Like, sometimes they just need a minute. And so sometimes it's also just like, I'm using to ignore that because that wasn't pretty. Right? Like, it was like a dispelling of energy. But it's real hard to bite your tongue.
Yeah.
I feel like me 5 years ago didn't bite my tongue very much. People probably still think I don't bite my tongue very much, but it's come a long way.
Yeah, and I can see that.
It's a work in progress, right? Like, of when do I speak, when do I not speak? Sometimes the speaking is for me. Sometimes when I say stuff, it really is truly like this aligns with my values. This is right? Like, I know I feel this way about this thing. This matters to me. This is something I'm going to speak on. And I don't care that it's going to ruffle feathers,
Right.
but I don't have to persecute somebody over it.
Right.
Right? Like, I don't have to, I can be articulate. I can be clear. I can be impassioned without being angry, without being passive aggressive, because passive aggressive fits under persecutor too.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Right. And so I think that's like, all of these roles have the ability to flip flop into an intrinsic place. If I wait until somebody asks for my help, I can still help without having to be a hero. I can be a support, right? Like, if I'm impassioned about something that I believe, I don't have to be a persecutor. I can be passionate, right? If I feel that I've been wronged, I don't have to be a victim, right? I can be a survivor. I can be an advocate. There's a lot of different terminologies we can use for that. But that's what I have choice over. Because nobody controls my emotions. Nobody controls my feelings. Nobody controls my reactions.
Right.
We are raised to think that other people control our emotions.
Yes.
Which is really wild, right? Like, it kind of blows my mind a little bit, because I'm like, wait a minute, other people, well, that thing happened, or this person did this thing, so it makes me feel like they controlled my emotions.
Right. That's definitely something I've learned more.
Really, just like this, right? Like,
just, I don't know, in relationships and going through life, you just kind of learn, I think, that more and more. And I know for me, it was like, once I realized that, it was a game changer. It was just like, oh wait.
it's like really nuanced, right?
It is. Well, and
Because I can argue
it's nuanced, and
it starts a layer of understanding that's confusing.
And it changes from day to day.
Yeah. Well, right. And so in therapy, and just like psychology in general, I have a thing where we talk about state versus trait, right? So,
Right.
like, there are some things that are inherent that are traits, like that are things that I'm always carrying with me. And then there are things that are just like state dependent, right?
Mhm.
Like, I wake up on the wrong side of the bed, or I wake up annoyed, or I am dealing with something that's hard, and so I'm angry, or, I didn't eat, and so I'm hungry. Like, there are state dependent things, and then there are some things that are trait dependent. And I think that is really hard, because we don't, as a society, always separate those things. And now we use colloquial jargon, like, it's my ADHD, or statism, or I am neurodivergent and spacey. And it's kind of like, what pieces of that are really trait dependent, and what are some of those things that are like, you're just having a day. Right. And so, and how do we tell the difference, and where's the line? And is it a Venn diagram where some of it overlaps? And yes, and all of it, right? And I think that's like the confusing part. And if we know ourselves, the more we know ourselves, the more we will understand what we need, instead of weaponizing things to get a need met, instead of just saying, I need a minute.
Right.
Like, I'm frustrated. I'm mad. I'm upset. You hurt me.
Yeah. One, I can't remember it was a previous podcast, but I can't remember if it was Jay, but like, it was like asking the question to yourself, like having an internal conversation, like, why do I feel this way right now? Or why is this something that's triggering?
So I love the don't make any decision, like, halt. You are hungry, angry, lonely, or tired.
Yeah.
Not like, that's about, I by no means came up with that, but that is solid.
Right.
Like, okay.
And then we talked about this a week ago. I said I was interacting with somebody we both interacted with, and I was like, I felt like that email was a little passive aggressive, and you gave me some more information, and I told her I was going to respond right away, and then I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to wait a day or so, and maybe I was going to wait to talk to you, and when I did, and I just like, you know what? That was way better than, I just like, hey, I'm going to take care of this. Thanks for being patient. Rather than like get leaning into it and being passive aggressive myself.
I mean, and honestly, one of my favorite rules for life is nothing's a crisis.
No.
When somebody is bleeding out, suicidal or homicidal, or somebody's being hurt, like, nothing's a crisis. And I know that is like my worldview because of what I do.
Right.
But man, it changes the game of everything. Like, okay, like we can work through pretty much anything.
Yeah.
I will say the more I've embraced that, the better I sleep.
Yeah. For
Right?
sure.
The less anxiety I have, the better I sleep, because it's like, I did everything I could do for that day to my best of my ability. And even if I woke up and I only had 50% to give, if I gave all 50%, I did damn good.
Hell, they only had one.
Correct, right? Like every day we wake up and, one of my therapists talks a lot about the spoon theory. We can invite her on so she can share a little bit more about that. But this idea that like, we don't all wake up with a capacity of 100% every day, all day, right? And so if we all interact with each other in the way that we expect them to always be operating at 100%, that's also kind of wild too.
Yeah.
Right? It's like we're allowed to have bad days. We're allowed to be off. We're allowed to, we're allowed to be human. And that's hard because we just talked about this morning at our creative meeting. It's like I was dumping out mail to our office manager who just got back from maternity leave. And I was like, okay, I admit I haven't done a very good job keeping up with it. I'm human. I'm like holding it down the best and everybody's response was like, yeah. Right? And I was like, oh.
You were harboring more of that than anybody else.
Totally, right? Because of past experiences with employees who are, expect me to boss at the highest level of bossing, and it's just like it's a little bit of me. It'll get taken care of. It's not a big deal. And we could do a whole other podcast on the 4 agreements. You ever like 4 agreements?
I think you talked about them to me before.
So it's a book by Miguel Ruiz, which we can also link. It's a old book, but he basically poses the idea that you would live a very peaceful, happy, successful life if you follow 4 agreements.
Mm-hmm.
And the first 2 are always the most difficult for my clients. That's not necessarily true for everybody, but the first 2 are don't take anything personally.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And the next, which is also wild to think that if somebody's telling you something, that it's not personal. But that's another free, like kind of in the same vein of like, people don't control my emotions.
Well, I was just going to say,
it's
the minute you say agree with that, then it's like, oh, then you're taking it personal.
Correct, right? Like, kind of like, huh.
But when you're like, you know what?
Right, if everything's
fuck them, they don't know me.
Well, or even if they do know me, like I don't necessarily have to take it personally either, because like maybe it's a bad day or maybe it's right? Or like maybe and if I do take it personally, am I like taking it from a place here, right? Like, am I in the drama triangle? Am I right? Like, can I objectively look at this feedback or this information and just be like right? Like, so it's also the best way ever, right? If somebody's being passive aggressive to me and I'm like, feels more like them than me.
Right.
That gets me right out of the triangle real quick, right? Like gets me internally like motivated and not extrinsically motivated,
right.
And so, so don't take anything personally. Make no assumptions.
Yeah.
So hard, right? Like I'm only dealing with what is here in front of me said. We assume everything.
Oh,
right? We assume if this happened before, it's going to happen again. If this person does something similar to that person, they're the same person, right? We're assuming all the things.
Right.
It's kind of wild.
It is.
And we love our assumptions because our assumptions are like a security blanket.
Well, right.
Feel good, right? Because they help us feel secure,
right.
Which I think is interesting. So so don't make any assumptions, right? So if I don't understand something or somebody says something, you're kind of like, did you mean that? You just ask, like, is this what you meant?
Right.
Or tell me more about that. I'm confused. And then the last 2 are really about kind of like integrity and like kind of work ethic. So the third one is to be impeccable with your word.
Okay.
Right? Walk the walk, talk the talk kind of thing. Right? And the last one is always do your best. And again, that goes to what we're saying of like, if I wake up and my best is 10%.
Right.
If I'm sick and I am lucky to even get out of bed and I got up, great. Sometimes my therapist is like, if you woke up and you took a shower some days, that's 100%. And other days, maybe you crushed it. You got a million things done. I'm super productive today. I woke up early, got some million, right? Like, that's not every day.
No.
And it's like, you ride the wave. Brittany will always talk about, like, ride the waves that you came in on. Right? Like, if you think about surfing, And emotions are that way, right?
Yes, very much so.
The wave is eventually going to crash into the shore and break.
Yeah.
Same with emotions. If I just sit with it, it eventually goes away.
Right. I always like to
ride it.
I always like to use that as well as like let that wave hit you and let it get past you. Like it might sweep you away a little bit, but you can.
I'm like, take me to shore. I'm good.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, let's travel. Here for it. Like I don't have to do any work. I'm just sitting here.
Right.
But don't drown me.
Exactly.
Don't. I mean, and some of them feel like a tsunami.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
You know, and some of them feel like baby. You know, so it's also just kind of like the idea of like ride it, give it what it needs.
The non-permanence of it, like it's just.
I mean, the non-permanence of everything.
Right. Exactly. Like, and
so you think about, have you ever seen like monks make mandalas out of sand?
Yes.
And what do they do at the end?
They do mess it up.
They sweep it away. Right? It's so wild. And it's like such a beautiful thing and a really hard thing to learn is that just like the only constant in this world is change.
Yeah.
And all that stuff in the drama triangle or the victim triangle, whatever you want to call it, is all about holding on tight to something that's going to change tomorrow.
Right.
So let's put a lid on it.
Let's put a lid on it.
Let's put a lid on it. And yeah. Anyway, if you take anything away, I'd say learn more about you.
And have some grace for yourself and others.
Of course. Thank you. Hey, girl, hey.